Part 59. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 599. Liang Bing recalled her previous fight with Binghua, and she was still frightened. She was completely beaten by Binghua in terms of military strategy and personal strength. This time, Liang Bing relied on reincarnation technology to escape his inevitable fate, but it might not happen next time, if the news that he was still alive reached Binghua's ears. Next time Binghua will definitely find a way to come up with a targeted weapon to crack her reincarnation technology. If she falls again, then she will really fall and there will never be a chance to come back again. Fortunately, due to my accidental collision this time, the angel civilization should have thought that it had fallen. Without it, the demon civilization would also lose the ability to revive. Therefore, as long as you are careful, you can still create a demon civilization in the dark. Because Liang Bing kept backup copies of almost all the dark information of high-level demons and fallen angels, but the angels didn't know about it and didn't notice it. But even if she rebuilds the demonic civilization, it will still be useless. As long as Binghua comes to encircle and suppress her again, the demonic civilization will disappear again. She must find a way to fight against Binghua, otherwise it will be useless no matter how hard she thinks. However, after this lesson, Liang Bing did not plan to rebuild the demon civilization immediately. Suddenly Liang Bing thought of something. The god-killing armor-piercing bullet is a god-killing weapon developed by the Nyoxing civilization to fight against German super soldiers. It has low production difficulty and the possibility of large-scale equipment. Liang Bing suddenly felt that this method was feasible. The gap between ordinary demon warriors and angels was too huge, and she did not have so many resources to improve the grassroots combat power to the level of angels. In this case, why not find another way to use foreign objects to strengthen the demon's combat power, so that it has the ability to cause a huge blow to the angel? In this way, the gap in combat effectiveness between angels and demons at the grassroots level will be reduced to an acceptable level, and demons will not be defeated by angels. But all this is based on the fact that Binghua did not participate in the war. To be honest, Liang Bing is now scared by Binghua. The first war between angels and demons could be said to have failed because Kesha also participated and she was outnumbered. The second time was purely due to Binghua's unilateral defeat. So Liang Bing decided not to continue playing with Angel in the known universe. If I can't beat him, why don't I just leave? Not to mention how Liang Bing contacted Carl to provide materials for the devil's reconstruction. On the Merlot heavenly side, when the angel returned victoriously, the entire celestial city celebrated. Because as the archenemy of angels, the demon civilization led by the defected angel king Liang Bing has finally been eliminated. From now on, angels will no longer face provocations and threats from demons. The only ones who were not happy were probably Kesha, Binghua, and Hexi. On the one hand, they were happy that the demon that had always been against the angels was eliminated, but on the other hand, they were secretly sad about Liang Bing's death. No matter how many mistakes Liang Bing made, she was still a good sister who fought hard for that era with them, not to mention Kesha, who was Liang Bing's biological sister. However, the three women were not the kind of weak-hearted people, and they quickly recovered from their secret sadness. The Melo Conference was also announced to be held in the Palace of the King of Angels because of the end of the Second War between angels and demons. Kesha is sitting high on the throne of the King of Angels as she has been for thousands of years. Below are the sacred wings, and below that are the high-level combat power of angels, second-generation God-level angels and first-generation God-level angels. Finally, there are the high-ranking angels in charge of each angel department. At the beginning of the meeting, Kesha first affirmed the achievements of the Holy Left Wing in destroying the demon King Morgana, and then talked about the benefits of the disappearance of the demon to the angels in stabilizing the order of justice. Finally, rewards will be given to those angels who fought bravely and performed outstandingly in the war. Higher level promotion channels will be open to these angels who have made great achievements in battle. Their authority will also be greatly improved. They can view some cutting-edge and high-end scientific and technological information in the Angel Civilization database, as well as the latest optimized driving algorithms, and even customize their own weapons. However, most angels will choose to continue learning knowledge and upgrading their bodies, and are not very interested in weapons, because the flaming swords installed in batches are enough for them to use. Just after Kesha finished rewarding those angels who had made military exploits, she said something downwards as usual. Angels, if there are no special circumstances to report, then this mellow meeting will end here. Queen Kesha, there is something I hope you can agree with. Just when Kesha was about to get up and leave the throne, Binghua turned around and walked towards the middle aisle, facing Kesha, and said these words calmly. Immediately, the high-level and God-level angels present who had already relaxed their bodies slightly and were about to leave inevitably stopped their movements and focused their attention on the sacred left-wing Binghua. Binghua took a deep breath and then spoke out the draft he had already prepared. Queen Kesha, after more than 10,000 years of conquests in the north and south, civilizations that dared to challenge the authority of angels have surrendered or been wiped out. As the sacred wings and military commander of the angel civilization, I already feel that my ability can no longer keep up with the development of the angel civilization. Therefore, for the future of angel civilization and the future strategy of angel civilization, I ask Queen Kesha to allow me to apply for retirement. Hearing the word retirement at the end of Binghua's words, not only Kesha, but also Hexi, Ran, and even Ruaning, who had not dealt with Binghua very well, were stunned. Binghua, are you serious? Kesha's tone was a little trembling. This was the first time she had lost her composure in front of all the angels at the Mellow Conference. However, most of the angels present had no time to dwell on Queen Kesha's loss. They all wondered whether they were dreaming thoughts. Queen, why do you want to retire suddenly? You are the angel of war, and it is precisely because of your presence that we can continue to win. Ming was a little incoherent at the moment, and he didn't care that this was a serious mellow meeting, so he directly asked Ran and other angels what they thought. Binghua, aren't you kidding me? Your abilities are obvious to all. You are the only one who belongs to the holy left wing. No angel would think that you are not capable enough. Why do you suddenly want to retire? He 11 was still calm, but still frowned, and couldn't help but ask Binghua the reason for his retirement. Binghua did not answer the words of any of the angels present, but raised his head slightly and stared at Kesha, who raised her right hand on the throne as if to retain her, waiting for the King of Angels' reply. Kesha lowered her raised hand slightly, clutching her cloak tightly to calm her heart. Finally, Kesha closed her eyes and slowly uttered a few words with difficulty. I agree with your application for retirement. After finishing her sentence, Kesha opened her eyes again and looked at Binghua. Her voice was no longer as majestic as usual, and she added another sentence. Then Holy Left Wing, is there anything else you want to say to me, the King of Angels, before you retire? Binghua didn't seem to see the pain in Kesha's eyes. She lowered her head slightly and said the words she had already prepared in her heart. I would like to recommend to Queen Kesha the next suitable candidate for the Holy Left Wing, that is Angel Ran, who currently holds the position of leader of the Angel Legion. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 600. The Holy Left Wing's application for retirement at the Mellow Conference caused an uproar in Tiancheng. According to rumors among angels, Queen Kesha left without saying a word after agreeing to the Holy Left Wing Binghua's retirement application. Countless high-ranking angels who were once members of the Heavenly Sword Legion and now serve as commanders of various legions, captains of heavenly blades, and border guard angels, thought that their queen was being forced by the King of Angels, Kesha, and wanted to seek justice for their queen. But after Binghua came forward, the matter was settled, because the parties involved had proved that they were not forced by Queen Kesha, so what reason did they have to go to Queen Kesha for justice? The most unexpected thing was Angel Ran, who was recommended by Binghua as the next holy left-winger. "Queen, I'm really not suitable to be the holy left-wing, you'd better come back. We all can't live without you. What should we do after you leave?" Angel Ran kept nagging around Binghua. Binghua was getting a little tired of it, but finally couldn't bear it anymore and scolded him directly. "How do you know you're not a good fit if you haven't been on the holy left? Could it be that if the angelic civilization left me, I wouldn't be able to fight? Can't defeat the enemy? Can't we protect justice and order? If that's the case, my leaving would be the wisest decision, just so you angels can learn how to stand on your own." After saying that, Binghua turned around and walked towards his residence. Ran was scolded by Binghua and bowed his head without saying a word. It was obvious that his own queen turned around and left, and quickly trotted to follow her, explaining eagerly. "Queen, I didn't mean that. I meant, meaning." Seeing Ran's nervous and speechless look, Binghua's tone softened. "I know what you are thinking, and with your ability, you are enough to stand alone. Now Liangbing has fallen, the demon civilization has been wiped out, and the three major god-making civilizations are dead and disabled. As an old angel who has been sitting in the position of the holy left for more than 10,000 years, it is time for me to step down from my position and hand over this position to you, the younger generations. If I had been serving as the holy left wing, and if one day I suddenly fell, and the angelic civilization did not have a qualified holy left wing in a short period of time, what do you think would happen to the angels?" After Binghua left Ran to think by herself, she entered the wormhole she opened without stopping and disappeared into the corridor. After getting rid of Ran, Binghua just returned to his residence when he saw Hexi and Jingnan waiting for him at his residence. Binghua stepped forward and patted Jingnan's shoulder, who was hesitant to speak, and said, "I have made up my mind, you don't need to persuade me anymore. Jingnan, from now on you will no longer be my assistant. Your new assistant is Angel Ran. You must assist her well until she is fully qualified to work on the holy left wing." "All right. Jingnan, please leave first. The holy right and I still have some things to discuss." After sending Jingnan away, Binghua opened the door and brought Hexi into the living room. "Binghua, what are you thinking about forcing Kesha to agree to your retirement application in public?" "Sister Hexi, the angel civilization is almost entirely supported by a few of our elders. But we cannot protect the angel civilization forever. Nowadays, angels no longer have the threat of external enemies, and the angel civilization in the known universe is the only one. It's just a good time for those young angels to exercise their abilities so that they can take over our work and let the angelic civilization continue to flourish." Hexi didn't react much to Binghua's answer, but just added another sentence after Binghua finished. "Don't talk to me in official terms. You know I don't do that." Binghua smiled when she heard this. She didn't expect to be able to use this excuse to get over it. After a moment of relief, Binghua spoke again. "Sister Hexi, I'm just tired and want to rest. In addition, I want to see other civilizations and planets in this universe from a mortal perspective." Hexi was silent when she heard this. Unlike Binghua, Hexi was a true scholar. Every time she overcame a difficulty in scientific research, she felt sincerely happy and gained a full sense of accomplishment. This is also the reason why He-11 obviously has good fighting talent, but rarely goes into battle to kill enemies in person. Rather than fighting and killing, she prefers to overcome technical barriers. As for Binghua, she remembered that when she first met Binghua in Tiancheng, she was still a very young angel girl. At that time, they were watching the military parade of Huaqiu's return after victory. At that time, I asked Binghua what she thought about her future. I remember that Binghua's eyes flashed with curiosity, and her answer was in line with her eyes at that time. I want to see other planets and races in the universe. Besides, I don't want to live under the control of others like those female angels on the street. In these years, Binghua has accomplished the goal in her second sentence. She no longer lives under the control of others and has the right to control her own lifestyle. Binghua also completed the first sentence, but the way was not beautiful. She did go to many planets, but they all brought war and death, killing and destruction. Not to mention the pain and sadness of killing his own sister some time ago. On the other hand, it may be that Binghua doesn't want to continue working under Kesha. After all, she killed her own sister. Although this also had Kesha's instruction, Binghua, as the executor, obviously did not completely get rid of the impact of this incident on her. He 11 thought so much, but in reality it only lasted for a second or two. In the end, he 11 didn't say anything to persuade Binghua not to leave until he left Binghua's residence. After Hexi left, he went to Keisha and told her that Binghua had decided to leave and would not continue to serve as the Holy Left Wing. Kesha did not let he 11 continue to persuade Binghua. She just felt a little sad that the sisters who had fought together left her one by one. First it was his biological sister Liang Bing, and now it's Binghua, and only he 11 is still by his side. Although Binghua just retired, Kesha knew that Binghua would definitely leave Merlot Heaven, and even leave the coverage of the Order of Justice. Because as long as Binghua is within Angel's sphere of influence, it is impossible for the rights of the Holy Left Wing to be truly transferred to Angel Ran's hands. Even if it is for Angel Ran, Binghua will leave the Angel's sphere of influence. This is Binghua, and Kesha's character of Binghua. Binghua, before I chose the path of justice, I knew it would not be smooth sailing and would be accompanied by countless choices and pain. Even if you leave and I am the only one left, I will not give up my justice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 601. What do you all want to do by acting like this? It's not like I won't come back after I leave. Ran, you must lead the Angel Legion well and set a good example for the sisters under your command. Ming, your personality is a bit impulsive. Please listen to Ran's advice more in the future. Jingnan, you have been with me for so long and are familiar with the various tasks of the Holy Left Wing. I will give you more help in the future. Sister Hexi, I'm sorry, from now on Angel Civilization will have to rely more on you to take care of it. Heikawi, you should fight less alone on the battlefield. You should trust more in the sisters who fight with you. Binghua looked around and did not see Kesha's figure. He knew in his heart that he shifted his gaze to the Tiancheng. After staring for a few seconds, he turned and walked towards the starport. Binghua knew that although Kesha was not present, she was definitely watching from her palace. Binghua did not look back and just raised her hand and waved goodbye to Kesha. Kesha, although your justice has protected most of the weak on the surface, it has not actually helped them. I want to go to this vast universe to see what needs to be done in order to be considered true justice, justice that can be observed and upheld by everyone from the bottom of their hearts. In the Merlot Heaven starport, Binghua took off her angel uniform and wore the ordinary clothes of angel civilization, a white top and trousers embroidered with gold patterns, and a jacket hanging down to her thighs with a cloud pattern printed on it. He took off his coat, and finally waved to He 11, Ran, Ming, 11 Luo and other subordinates who came to see him off. All the angels on Tiancheng starport also watched as the small spaceship that Binghua was riding turned into a light spot and disappeared from sight. A few months later, Binghua was already on the border of the Righteous Order, a planet in the midst of a pre-nuclear civilization. The technology here was still relatively backward. The creatures living in the Kamigawa body here did not even have the technology for long-distance communication. but it has to be said that most Kamigawa civilizations are full of talents in how to kill their own kind, and there are already kinetic energy weapons installed on a certain scale. By pushing the piston with instantaneous high pressure, a metal object similar to a bullet is launched, which has very good lethality against unarmored targets within 100 meters. There are also many common problems unique to civilization here, that is, chaos before complete reunification, conflicts between countries, conflicts between races, and conflicts between religions. Without the intervention of external civilization, this conflict would have lasted for at least nearly 1,000 years before it could be changed. However, angels never interfere in the internal disputes of a civilization. Unless most people in the civilization jointly petition the angels to express that the ruler of the current civilization is an extremely cruel and foolish king, the angels will send out an angel warrior to deal with it. This is still a civilization with angels as its main belief. If it is a civilization that does not believe in angels, even if all the people in their civilization die, the angel civilization may not be discovered in a short time. The only reason why this situation occurs is entirely due to the principle of justice established by Kesha that does not allow unauthorized interference in the development of any civilization. Of course, angels have no obligation to be the nannies of these civilizations. Binghua didn't feel disgusted with the order of justice because of this. As the former left wing of the angel civilization, she understood that angels did not have the ability to leave angels stationed in every civilization and pay attention to the development of these civilizations at all times. That was unrealistic. Do you have a place to pray to angels here? Binghua stopped in front of a vendor pushing a wooden cart on the side of the road and asked softly to the aged woman who was handling the goods. "Oh, I thought you were here to buy something. Little girl, seeing how beautiful you are, you'd better go home as soon as possible and don't pray to any angels." The old woman with a weathered face first sighed in disappointment, and then glanced around Binghua. Seeing that there were no guards following her, she thought that Binghua was a young lady who had escaped from some wealthy businessman's family. He didn't answer Binghua's question and directly started to persuade Binghua. Binghua could also clearly feel the woman's good intentions, but she had not used dark information scanning since she left Tiancheng. Binghua wanted to go on this indefinite journey from the perspective of an ordinary person, and look at this known universe she was familiar with. In the end, seeing Binghua's insistence, the old woman told Binghua the location of the nearest angel temple. Binghua walked towards his temporary destination, attracting the attention of many passers-by along the way. The main reason was that Binghua's temperament and delicate face were very different from the old and skinny people around him. It can be seen from the slightly dilapidated stone walls and rusted iron gates that the current condition of this angel temple is not very good. Just as Binghua was about to step into it, a young man who was only as tall as Binghua's chest jumped out from behind the door holding a sharpened wooden spear and shouted a warning. "Who are you?" "I am a devout angel believer. I saw a temple here, so I came here to pray," Binghua said with a smile, not angry because the boy was pointing a weapon at her. Seeing Binghua's appearance, the young man's vigilance dropped slightly, but he did not put down his weapon immediately. "If you are truly a devout believer in God, do you know who the God represents victory and hope?" Binghua raised his eyebrows. This little guy is testing himself, but does the angel symbolize the God of hope and victory? "I hope I don't know, but in the sect that believes in angels, he seems to represent victory." "Angel God of War Binghua." When the young man heard this, his tense body relaxed. He looked behind Binghua and saw that no one else was following him, so he stepped aside and spoke. "Come in, the prayer hall is inside." The young man did not put down the wooden spear in his hand, but just signaled Binghua to go in. He returned to the wall next to the gate and observed the outside through a gap in the wall. Binghua stepped into this small angel temple and followed the stone-paved road into a slightly old temple. There were 3 statues of God standing in the center of the temple, but Binghua didn't know who they were. He could only identify them as angels based on their shapes and the wings on their backs. You are also the first angel believer to come to us to pray during this time. May the King of Gods protect you. A tall and sturdy old man with grey temples walked in from the open door on one side. His mental outlook was very strong. Binghua also responded in time, "May the King of Gods protect you." This is the greeting used by most angel sects that Binghua understands. Child, do you have any doubts when you come here, or do you have difficulties that require you to pray to God for enlightenment? Facing the words of the old angel priest, Binghua shook his head slightly and replied softly. Well, I have a doubt that I want to seek answers from God. I hope I won't disturb you. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 602. After saying this, Binghua clasped his hands together, faced forward, and closed his eyes. His mind began to recall what he had seen and heard on this planet during this time. Queen Keisha, the people you protect are suffering, and this suffering is their own. Human greed and desire have defeated God's teachings. Countless innocent people are calling your name before they die, but you are unable to pay attention to this place. Justice is trampled here, virtue is spurned here, and God's judgment is delayed. After a while, Binghua opened her eyes again. She had uploaded everything she wanted to say to the nearest information collection station through a prayer mechanism in the Angel Temple. But if luck is different, it may still take more than 10 years before the next angel comes to collect information, and by then everything may be a foregone conclusion here. Thank you for allowing me to pray to God here and tell my heart's desires. Binghua turned around and thanked the old priest of the temple beside him, and the old man quickly returned the gift. When this kind-hearted female believer was praying just now, he seemed to see a strong divine aura exuding from her body. Such a strong sense of presence made him think that he had seen the legendary god. But now the cleric couldn't help but wonder if he had made a mistake, because the temperament of the kind-hearted female believer in front of him became ordinary again. Just then, the young man who stopped Binghua at the door ran in a panic and shouted to the old man beside Binghua. "Father, it's bad, the grain collector is here again with the soldiers." The old priest, whose face was originally full of kindness, immediately turned serious when he heard this. After apologizing to Binghua, he quickly walked out of the somewhat dilapidated temple. "The priest warns you for the last time, hand over the tax arrears, otherwise I will demolish your temple today and let you live on the street." "We have already handed over the tax." No, I don't remember your temple paying taxes," the grain collector said jokingly, and he was very happy to see the priest's expression of being angry but afraid to speak. "Aren't you afraid of God's punishment when you embarrass God's believers in front of God's palace?" A plain but unusually present female voice suddenly sounded, attracting the attention of everyone present. The grain collection officer turned around and looked in the direction of the sound, his eyes slightly narrowed. She turned out to be a beautiful young lady. "I'm sorry that you saw some unsightly scenes. However, we did not deliberately embarrass him. He ignored the king's order and refused to hand over the taxes and grain. We were just going about our routine." The grain collection officer immediately changed his attitude after seeing Binghua. There was no fault in his words and his tone was no longer as proud as before. Although Binghua's clothes were not gorgeous, her face was so beautiful that it almost didn't look like a human thing. A person with such a face is either blessed by God or has a prominent position and lives in a rich life. This makes the grain collector have to be careful, fearing to offend someone he cannot afford to offend. The grain collection officer couldn't guess Binghua's identity, and he gave up the idea of continuing to embarrass the priest. He turned around and called his men, leaving one sentence: "Prepare the tax and food, I will come again." Seeing that the grain collection officer had left, the priest breathed a sigh of relief and turned around to express his gratitude to Binghua. "Thank you for your help, miss. If it weren't for you, our place would have been looted today." Binghua was a little confused when he heard this. Do they even dare to rob the temple? Alas, since the new king came to power, he has launched wars everywhere to collect taxes and grain. The senior leaders of the sect looked at the suffering people of the kingdom and went to the palace to persuade the king. However, the king did not pay attention and instead increased the share of taxes and grain collected. In addition, the new king does not seem to agree with the concept of justice advocated by our sect, so our sect will inevitably encounter some difficulties and suppression. The priest asked Binghua to go with him to sit behind the temple. Along the way, the priest also began to explain to Binghua why he was embarrassed by the grain collector. What came into Binghua's eyes after crossing the temple was a very large house. Although there were some damaged areas, they had all been repaired. Before Binghua and the priest could enter the house, the door suddenly opened and several children ran out and gathered around the priest. Others were curiously looking at Binghua, the strange elder sister. Binghua saw the children gathered around the priest, looking at herself secretly, squatting down and greeting them with a smile, and like magic, she took out a few snacks and candies that she had bought on the Sakaz planet but had not eaten. Come here, this is a meeting gift from my sister. Thank you, sister. Seeing the priest nodding, the children happily stepped forward to take some candies from Binghua's hand and expressed their gratitude very politely. Binghua took the opportunity to rub the black hair of a little girl who was close to her. It was almost impossible to see children in Tiancheng, because since the end of the male-female angel war, newborn angels have been considered a rare existence. After talking with the priest, Binghua understood that although the angel temple is a temple, it is also responsible for the work of adopting orphans. However, in recent years, the angel temple has been reluctant to maintain its own existence, and has stopped recruiting orphans. Work. Although the priest also said that when he saw those orphans living on the streets, he wanted to lend a helping hand, but his ability was too limited. If he collected the orphans without restraint, he would eventually be unable to feed the children in the temple. After understanding the situation, Binghua felt a little weird, because food is not a necessity for angels. Even among the angel-affiliated civilizations, there is no civilization that is in crisis due to lack of food, and Binghua has discovered this situation on many planets within the scope of the righteous order. Kesha's just order of justice does not interfere with the development of other civilizations. Could it be that the angels really let the angels watch these civilizations kill each other because of such a small problem that can be easily solved in the eyes of the angels, in order to compete for the space that is enough to maintain the civilization? Survival rations. After wandering around the planet for several years, Binghua left again. This time her goal was outside the scope of the justice order. She wanted to see the difference between the civilization there and the civilization under the angels' justice order. But before leaving the scope of justice, Binghua plans to go to the Chaiwa star system to see his friend and his companion who have not seen each other for thousands of years. How is the monkey who has been transformed by the God-making project doing now? After spending half a month, Binghua finally arrived at this remote planetary system in the known universe through the Stargate network established by angels. A blue planet appeared in Binghua's eyes. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 603. A red meteor appeared in the sky and fell straight to the ground without any intention of hiding it. Not only the instructor Wu of the former Chao Theological Seminary who settled on this planet, but also the native residents who are still in the ignorant period have seen this scene. Some native residents couldn't help but kneel down and salute the red meteor in the sky. Binghua did not fly her Tianjian-3 spacecraft, but chose to directly break through the atmosphere of this planet that was very similar to the planet in her memory. The reason why he chose to do this was to tell Master Wu who settled on this planet that he was here. The folded wings on Binghua's back suddenly spread out, stopping her downward dive, turning over and hovering in the air, and the high-temperature air mass wrapped around her exploded violently, sweeping towards the surroundings. Binghua's eyes glowed with white light and he began to scan the general information of the planet. As the information was collected, Binghua gradually became surprised. It's so similar. Whether it's the distribution of the planet's continents or the area of its oceans, including some of its topography, it's very similar to what I remember. The people on this planet have developed their own unique culture in several areas, but they are all primitive, but there is already a trace of civilization. Just as Binghua was collecting general information on the planet and looking for traces of Teacher Wu, a hostile and unknown target quickly approached here. Binghua raised her eyebrows and then cancelled the dark information reading. She moved her gaze in one direction and saw a figure leaping towards him from the ground several kilometers away, wrapped in a ball of compressed air. Based on his current falling speed, Binghua calculated the parabola. He was just within the impact range. Was he the target? Binghua didn't give up at all. He reached out and made a move, and the flaming sword flew out of the void. He grabbed it and swung it with his backhand towards the charging figure. Clang! The terrifying sound of metal clashing echoed throughout the sky, and the impact caused by the dissipated concussive force crushed a large area of trees on the ground. Binghua's figure also fell back dozens of meters due to the back shock, and the hand holding the sword couldn't help but loosen a little to relieve the numbness caused by the back shock. The being who attacked Binghua crashed into the ground and made a dent, causing damage that caused the land in an area of more than 10 meters to rise directly. Is this the so-called welcome ceremony? I have to say it's quite unique. Binghua looked down at the dusty area below and whispered to himself. A howling wind appeared, and the diffuse dust was swept away by a black alloy rod, revealing a long-haired monkey with a face and body shape very similar to the Kamigawa creature, wearing a gray short shirt. You are an outsider. You broke into this planet without my consent and you swept it here and there. Please tell me if you came here intentionally to cause damage. Before Binghua could say anything, the monkey below him questioned Binghua in a very unfriendly tone. Seeing this, Binghua raised his eyebrows slightly and began to read the data of the monkey below. He soon got some vague information. It was obvious that there was someone behind the other person who had set up a firewall for him. Seeing that Binghua didn't say anything, the monkey holding the black alloy stick below bared his teeth and scratched his ears and cheeks. He stopped asking questions, took a few steps, jumped up, and swung the alloy stick in his hand to hit Binghua. Binghua clicked her tongue and felt a little troubled, but she had already guessed who the monkey was. It should be Teacher Wu's former pet and companion, the monkey named Wukong. Thinking of this, the flaming sword in Binghua's hand glowed with scorching, terrifying energy. He gently flapped his wings on his back to avoid Wukong's attack. At the same time, the flaming sword in his hand did not forget to hit Wukong in the back. Boom! Wukong smashed into the ground again, and Binghua prepared to wait for Wukong to continue attacking, intending to see how strong the half-beast body created by Teacher Wu was, and whether it was as powerful as he boasted. Suddenly there was a violent sound of breaking through the air in the dust, and a black shadow shot out at a high speed, slamming into Binghua's flaming sword in front of him, pushing it up to 1,000 meters in the air. Binghua stepped back and moved away from the black alloy stick that was pressing against the sword in his hand. He looked at the black alloy stick that stretched from the ground thousands of meters below to the sky and was only as thick as an arm. Binghua's pitch black, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. Mass energy conversion technology, and only this technology can explain everything that is happening today. This stick does not use a combination of mass and volume growth similar to the star blade of destruction. Just as Binghua was staring blankly at the black alloy stick that was still extending high into the sky, the stick suddenly fell down, and Binghua suddenly realized that he was currently in a battle. Boom! Within a few kilometers, a straight line of ground was cut into a deep ravine by a black alloy rod falling from the sky. Binghua slowly landed on the ground beside Wukong, curiously looking at the shortening black alloy rod in his hand. You are quite capable of being an outsider. You took a few blows from me and didn't do anything. It's worth using my true skills. Binghua had already attacked Wukong with the flaming sword and found no traces of injury. He tested the strength of his divine body and found that it should be higher than the conventional third-generation divine body. Oh, you also have other ones, let me see if you use them. Binghua said curiously, and stood there quietly watching Wukong, letting him do whatever he wanted, and Wukong was not disappointed with him. His whole body began to emit powerful dark energy radiation. As he shouted loudly, the surrounding space was distorted for a moment, and black figures appeared around him. Their number soon exceeded 50. Binghua was really surprised now, because the black humanoid warriors that suddenly appeared around him were not illusions or projections, but the products of real existence. And judging from the intensity of dark energy radiation emitted by each of them, although they have not reached the level of the original master, they are still around the level of the third-generation super warriors. Before Binghua could continue his analysis, more than 50 super warriors rushed over with alloy sticks in hand. Binghua stretched out his hand and struck. Countless silver feather-like silver blades shot out from the micro wormholes, spinning forward and strangled out. In an instant, several clones created by Wukong, including their weapons, were crushed into pieces by the silver feathers. To deal with this kind of enemy that has no quantity but no quality, Yin Yu is the most suitable. No matter how many you have, you can't withstand Yin Yu's constant strangulation. It was obvious that Wukong was not an idiot. When he saw that the clones he had finally accumulated were killed by Binghua in less than a minute, he immediately called his clones back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 604. It's a good ability. I can guess the general principle. I didn't expect that Teacher Wu would install this thing on you. But the configuration is a bit poor, and it doesn't help in God-level battles. Binghua commented, and at the same time withdrew the silver feather and planned to see if Wukong had any other moves or abilities, but just when Wukong bared his teeth and wanted to continue to attack. Okay, Wukong, come back, this is not an enemy, he is my distinguished guest. Just bring her to the master. A public communication was suddenly inserted into the battlefield. After hearing this, Wukong put down the alloy stick in his hand unhappily and no longer showed hostility towards Binghua. The rapid change of his attitude surprised Binghua. His Excellency, King Tianjian, please come with Wukong to the humble residence for a chat. Binghua nodded in agreement. But Wukong only left a sentence, Outer God, follow me. Then he turned around and ran away in one direction, leaving only a burst of flying dust. Binghua shook his head slightly, flapped his wings and followed, without saying anything else. After traveling for hundreds of kilometers, Binghua finally saw his destination, a building with a blazing sun style. The silver-haired instructor Wu, wearing a white gown and a crown, has been waiting in front of the door for a long time. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, I haven't seen you for many years, but you are still so beautiful. Time has not left any traces on you. Instructor Wu sighed and spoke, and Binghua looked at Instructor Wu, whose face had become more weathered and older than when he was in the Super Theological Seminary, and responded. Teacher Wu, you have become older than the last time we met. Haha, King of Heavenly Sword, you are still so merciless when you speak, please sit inside. I don't have anything good here, so I can only treat you with crude tea. Wukong, if you're fine, just continue to patrol. Instructor Wu gave instructions to Wukong at the door, and then led Binghua into the house. The two sat down at a wooden table apart from each other, and Instructor Wu started to pour water and make tea. Your Excellency, King of Heavenly Sword, I thought you would come here more than 2,000 years ago, but I didn't expect you to come here after so long. I was delayed by some things. Now that I have resigned from the position of Holy Left Wing, I remembered that there is still an old friend here, so I came to visit. There is no need to call me Heavenly Sword King anymore. My name is Binghua, and now I am just an ordinary angel who has retired. Instructor Wu shook his head slightly. He didn't believe Binghua's words. If he really retired, how could he still use the dark silver weapon in the battle with his apprentice just now? Miss Binghua, please stop calling me Instructor Wu. I am no longer the instructor of Super Seminary. You can just call me Wu Chenjian. Wu Cheng'en. Binghua was speechless. Is it such a coincidence? Miss Binghua, is there anything wrong with my name? Binghua quickly shook his head, indicating that there was no problem at all. After that, Wu Chenjian and Binghua talked about various things that had happened in the past few thousand years and the problems encountered by the research institute. Binghua was the same and discussed with Wu Chenjian their respective opinions on various major events that had happened in the known universe. Wu Chenjian expressed regret that most of the super seminaries were destroyed in the destruction of the Dino system, because many of his friends died with the destruction of the Dino system. By the way, Miss Binghua, I wonder if you still remember every time you came to have academic discussions with me when you were in the academy. Always tease Wukong, make him scratch his head, yell, and threaten, and say that if Wukong were Monkey King, the Monkey King, maybe I would still be afraid of you. I think the surname Sun combined with the word Wukong made him give this name easily. I don't know if he is worthy of the title of Monkey King that you once mentioned. Wu Chenjian said with a smile, with a hint of joking in his tone, and Binghua also smiled and replied. This name suits him very well. It's almost tailor-made for him. Binghua took a sip of the tea prepared by Wu Chenjian. It was sweet and mixed with a touch of bitterness. The taste was very strange and lingered in his mouth for a long time. Are you planning to settle here forever? After chatting for a while, Binghua asked, and Wu Chenjian nodded. The environment here is very good, much better than many civilization home planets I have seen. Moreover, intelligent life was born here, and they worshipped me as a god. My ideals have been realized in Wukong. So I plan to spend the rest of my life guarding the world and teaching them ethics and morals, so that they can become a civilization that knows etiquette and has strong cohesion. That's all I want to do in the end. Binghua stared at Wu Chenjian and didn't say anything in the end. This was the other person's choice. Since he wanted to stay on this planet and spend the rest of his life, all he needed to do was send his blessings. Binghua stayed on this planet that was very similar to the Earth for a while. He drank tea and chatted with Wu Chenjian. Occasionally, Binghua would tease Sun Wukong. However, the current Sun Wukong is not like the one who only showed his teeth and intimidated others thousands of years ago. Today, he holds a dark alloy rod, has an indestructible body, can destroy mountains and seas, and can create nearly 100 clones. Ordinary third-generation gods are no match for Sun Wukong. Even the third-generation gods of the angel civilization, today's sacred Zoziuran, would probably suffer a loss if they directly faced Sun Wukong. This is not Binghua's bragging. The reason why she has been able to suppress Sun Wukong all the time is because of her tens of thousands of years of combat experience and rich arsenal of weapons, which allows her to know every move. No matter whether Sun Wukong uses a clone, 3 heads and 6 arms, or several other moves, Binghua can carry weapons or equipment that are enough to counter or restrain his fighting style. This made Sun Wukong frustrated many times in the fight with Binghua. In the end, he simply stopped fighting Binghua, saying that the fight was boring and not exciting at all. Binghua had almost collected the battle data of Sun Wukong. After obtaining the mass energy conversion technology and clones developed by Wu Chenjian in the past 1,000 years and several new technologies that were different from the current common energy drive technology, he chose to leave the Chaiwu star system. Binghua was going to leave the known universe of Kamigawa and go to the Chaos Star C starfield that angels had been guarding against. He was going to go to that unknown land to verify which path was suitable for him and to see this beautiful and magnificent universe. Before leaving the known universe, Binghua uploaded the technology of clones and mass energy conversion to Angel's database, including Sun Wukong's battle data. This is exactly what Binghua subconsciously did because of his past habits. Whenever he encounters new enemies or unknown civilizations, Binghua will habitually collect data and upload it. In order to ensure the intelligence advantage of the angel civilization warriors, they can avoid fighting with enemies they do not understand as much as possible. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 605. Binghua passed through the long barren star field between the known universe and the chaotic star sea, and finally arrived at this star field that even the angel civilization knew little about. Compared to the orderly order of the known universe, this place gave Binghua a sense of silence and lifelessness. Even without seeing it with his own eyes, he could still smell the smell of iron and blood that filled the air with his unusual intuition. Binghua drifted in the universe without any destination, using the shipborne scanning device to continuously visit the scenery of various planets along the way. Sometimes when encountering some novel things, he would stop the spacecraft and come down to collect some elements and minerals that he had never seen before. This behavior continued until Binghua met the first civilization on his journey. Under the dim sky, there was the earth soaked in blood, and the cold corpse with an armored stomach. On the side of the battlefield, a looted village was still burning with fire, but it was very deserted and lifeless. This was the first scene that caught the eye after Binghua arrived on this planet, the bodies of men pierced by sharp blades, and the women who were brutally humiliated. All these scenes explained to Binghua the barbarism and backwardness of the world. Walking through the purgatory-like scene, even Binghua's heart, which had been baptized by war for a long time, couldn't help but sigh. A banging sound attracted Binghua's attention, and his powerful sensing ability accurately identified a ruins buried in rubble in Binghua's detection system, where there was still a life signal. Binghua, who was originally walking slowly, suddenly quickened his pace and quickly arrived in front of a ruin. With a wave of his hand, the piled rubble was lifted away by an invisible force. A figure of a woman whose back was severely injured by the rubble was revealed, but she hugged the little girl tightly to protect her in her arms. Binghua reached out and opened the woman's body, regardless of whether it would stain her clothes, and carefully picked up the unconscious little girl who was only a few years old. Looking at the body of the woman with her eyes closed and her face full of pain, biting her lip until it bled, Binghua was silent. Even without reading the hidden information here, Binghua could guess that this woman was crushed in the ruins. How much pain did the mother endure to protect her child? Don't worry, your child has been saved. She will grow up safely. Binghua whispered to the lifeless woman's body on the ground. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Binghua felt that her painful face seemed to have softened slightly. Binghua turned around and walked towards the outside of this dead town. Soon the town was covered in red energy. Both corpses and ruins were burned and purified under the red flames. Binghua led the little girl he had picked up and walked along the way. All he saw along the way were ruins of villages and towns, as well as refugees in ragged clothes. Until Binghua arrived at the front line, it was a meat grinder battlefield where hundreds of thousands of people charged each other, and countless corpses were scattered on the plain. Binghua did not participate in this war because neither side was worthy of her helping hand. After so many days of walking, Binghua also gained some understanding of the world. Both sides of the war are kingdoms that exploit and exploit the lower classes. On the other side are the brutal and cold-blooded imperial invaders. As if just to destroy, the invaders pursued a policy of killing everyone, looting them all, and burning them all along the way. However, the kingdom side kept losing battles, and it would be in danger of overthrowing sooner or later if this continued. Binghua walked across the battlefield towards the rolling mountainous area. She planned to find a mountain peak with good scenery and no one to disturb her, to study some of the gains during the journey, the ores and metals she had collected with strange properties. Although Binghua sympathizes with the innocent people who lost their lives in the war, he will not take action to end the war because it is meaningless. This is the pain that civilization must go through to move forward. Only final unification can completely end the war and allow the people of this planet to live a stable life. But Binghua is not that kind of cold-blooded being. If someone slaughters those who have no power to resist in front of her, she knows that she will definitely take action. But this means endless trouble, and once there is a connection, it is not that simple to break off, so Binghua chooses to go into the mountains, hide from the world, and quietly look at the vicissitudes of the world. At the same time, he also wanted to raise the child he had picked up to fulfill his soft-hearted promise to her dead mother. Well, the location here is good. Binghua held the hand of a little girl and walked through mountains and rivers until they came to a steep mountain wall. There was a wide flat land under the mountain wall, and at the end of the flat land was a steep cliff, from which the entire scenery below could be seen. Dozens of Tai long swords appeared in the micro-wormhole and flew out from the weapons arsenal. Under Binghua's control, they began to chisel at the mountain wall and cut stones. They were then carried by Binghua's force field and stacked aside neatly. The little girl being led by Binghua looked at the scene with curiosity. Her originally unhealthy worldview was completely changed the moment she was adopted by Binghua. It only took Binghua less than a day to carve out a huge hole in the mountain wall without damaging the mountain structure. Then Binghua made a molecular synthesizer, and then used the analytical synthesizer to create the basic parts of the substance printer. Combined with the material synthesis function of Binghua's own scientific research Angel module, the synthesized special parts and cores, the material printer was successfully assembled. When the material printer came online, Binghua's manufacturing speed increased dozens of times, and soon an intelligent master control center was built by Binghua. Then came the first Tianjian series engineering machines, and they began to replicate themselves and produce their own kind. After Binghua successfully manufactured several Tianjian engineering robots using a material printer, he began to build a place to live. There was a material printer that could print any shape and any conventional material at will. Soon, a stone building with an exquisite appearance, like a palace, was built. Just rise up from the ground. The interior also contained common furniture that had been precisely cut and trimmed with high-density rocks. Later, some textile fiber items and daily necessities that girls needed were all printed by the material printer. I have to say that this material printer obtained from the World Eater God is very convenient. As long as some basic elemental materials are synthesized, any conventional item can be printed. From now on, Binghua plans to officially take Qi to settle in this mountain. Qi will be the girl's name. Binghua read the information through dark information. Because it has the same pronunciation as Qi in angel language, Binghua will its name is Qi. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 606. After getting along with each other for this period of time, Binghua discovered that Qi was not the kind of introverted and quiet girl. Her personality tended to be active and stubborn. At the same time, she also knew that Binghua was not her mother. She always called Binghua sister, and Binghua didn't correct her. It would be better to say that she had no intention of raising Qi as her daughter. Binghua took advantage of the Tianjian engineering robot to copy itself and build the outer wall of the laboratory, and began to teach Qi literacy, which is of course the mainstream script on this planet's civilization. Because even if Qi learned angel writing, it would be of no use. Apart from reading angel information, it would have no other use. Qi looked at the beautiful sister who saved her from hell and worked hard to learn the words she taught. Although the words were very complicated and difficult to remember, Qi never gave up the idea of learning. Because since following the sister, Chi feels very happy. She doesn't have to work with her mother all day long, and she can have enough to eat every meal. And the food cooked by my sister is really delicious. She has never eaten anything so delicious. The only thing this beautiful sister asked herself to do was to learn these words, and she must study hard. Binghua was also very pleased with Kai's efforts. She didn't dislike people who worked hard, so she put aside her research and planned to wait until Chi grew up. In the blink of an eye, several years have passed, and Chi has grown from an ignorant little girl to a graceful young girl. Her original withered yellow hair has turned into long, smooth golden hair under the care of Binghua, and her clear purple eyes can even reflect the surrounding scenery. Chi has also come out of the pain of his mother's death when he was a child. He has a lively personality and often tries to tease Binghua, but unfortunately he never succeeds. But Chi is still enjoying it, and Binghua also enjoys the life of having one more person by his side. In addition to daily research, he teaches Chi all kinds of knowledge, even swordsmanship, spearmanship, and other fighting methods. Binghua wasn't sure why she taught Chi these things. Maybe it was the habit of being a battle angel. She always felt that it was better for women to have the power to protect themselves. Sister Binghua, why do you think there is always a war between the kingdom and the empire? Many people died in every war, and countless residents of the kingdom lost their homes and wandered in the wilderness. Didn't the king see this? Chi asked Binghua in confusion. Chi was able to observe the general situation of the entire planet through the detection device built by Binghua. Naturally, he also saw the kingdoms and empires that were constantly at war. The tragedies that were happening in the scenes made Chi couldn't help but recall the scene when he was a child, and he was lucky enough to be adopted by Sister Binghua. Chi could already predict what would happen to those who didn't have this good luck. Hearing this, Binghua slightly raised his head to look at the sky and answered Kai's question softly. What he can't see is his own status and interests. Only a wise and capable monarch can make the country strong and the people less likely to suffer from war. Then how should we solve the living problems of the people in the kingdom? Sister, I often didn't have enough to eat when I was a child. My brothers and sisters all died of illness. How can I prevent all of this from happening? Chi asked a question again, which was also a question she discovered based on her own childhood and her usual observation of the kingdom. Many people died of hunger and illness, but since I stayed with Sister Binghua, I have never been sick and my physical fitness has become stronger and stronger. He was even stronger than his father in his memory. Chi Zheng secretly picked up a stone that was about the same height as himself without feeling too strenuous. So Chi really wants to know how Sister Binghua did it, and whether she can also save those people who are suffering from illness. Binghua lowered his head slightly and stared at Chi for a while. When Chi couldn't help but wonder if he had said something wrong, Binghua finally spoke. If you want to prevent the residents of the kingdom from suffering from illness, you must first completely destroy the current inefficient kingdom order and re-establish a more complete and efficient order. Then, doctors with superb medical skills in the entire kingdom were gathered together, and disciples were recruited to expand the overall number of doctors. Finally, by arranging doctors to treat diseases in every city, town, and village, we can minimize the increase in the number of people who die from illness. Of course, there will be many difficulties involved. The human heart is a very complex thing, and it is often the culprit that blocks progress. Even I cannot calculate a person's thoughts 100%. Binghua said a long paragraph, but Chi didn't understand it completely, but he still nodded in confusion, expressing his agreement with Binghua's answer. Binghua looked at Chi and shook his head slightly, picked up one of the two metal spears placed aside, and said to Chi, "If you don't understand, don't think about it. Let's practice spear skills for a while, just to relieve your thoughts." Chi Vinyan didn't think about the last sentence of Binghua's words about the human heart. When he saw that Binghua wanted to accompany her to practice spear skills, he immediately put all this behind him and ran to get the gun happily. What followed was a series of severe beatings by Binghua on Qi. Relying on his incomparable reflexes and rich combat experience, Binghua's fight with Qi was easier than a muscular man beating a kid. Qi is also someone who refuses to admit defeat. Her strong character makes her never want to admit defeat. She believes that one day she will be able to win over her sister Binghua. In the days that followed, Zhongqi became more and more obsessed with observing the scenery of the kingdom, and would sometimes write and draw on paper. Binghua took all of this into consideration. When I usually teach some knowledge, I intentionally or unintentionally include some knowledge and experience about marching and governing the country. Binghua didn't know why he did this, but Qi had no idea about it, and even sometimes happily told Binghua that using certain methods could make the kingdom rich and powerful, and the people could live and work in peace and contentment. Although most of them are one-sided conjectures, some of them are indeed feasible, but Qi does not have the opportunity to display his talents. In the blink of an eye, several years have passed, and Binghua's research has gradually gotten on the right track, and the time she spends with Qi has also become less and less. Instead of teaching Qi various knowledge in person, she now lets him learn by himself in the database. Binghua came out of the research room that day and found a very strange metal that could absorb energy and had good hardness and toughness. The important thing is that the synthesis of this metal is not difficult and is very suitable for mass production. However, it is of little help to the angel civilization, because the alloy currently used by angels is powerful enough. Binghua, who was about to walk to her residence, stopped because she saw Qi Zheng standing on the edge of the cliff on the platform where she was, staring at the city in the distance with dots of fire, her eyes filled with eagerness to try. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 607. Sure enough, Binghua thought, in fact, as early as when Qi started to care about matters related to the kingdom under the mountain, Binghua knew that Qi would one day join the chaotic world under the mountain. However, Binghua didn't expect that Qi would already have the idea of leaving here at such a young age. Although Binghua felt a little reluctant, he had no intention of stopping her. But before that, Binghua would pour all his love for Qi into Qi. Qi, what are you looking at? Qi Vinyan, who was looking at the lights in the distance, trembled, turned around and glanced around, and his tone became more panicked. No, I didn't read anything. Sister Binghua, have you finished your research? But Qi soon returned to normal, ran to Binghua and hugged her arms, asking curiously. Binghua nodded and had no intention of criticizing Kai's deliberate change of topic. Sister, let's go to bed. It's already so late. Qi took Binghua's arm and walked towards his residence, talking about his learning achievements during this period as he walked. After hearing this, Binghua randomly selected a question to test Qi. After a while, Qi became obviously interested in military knowledge. That day, Binghua found Qi who was practicing with his spear. Each move was very simple, but all of them were extremely fast. Binghua had not systematically learned spear skills, and was only taught the basic usage of Kai's spear. The rest was all Kai's own experience summed up in actual combat with Binghua. How to draw a gun faster and hit your target more accurately, this is the purpose of the blazing spear technique. So it seems that Kai's movements when wielding the spear are ordinary, but with the same physical fitness, even the angel recruits who have practiced for many years are no match for Qi. What Qi lacks today is the tempering of blood and fire, and a trace of the aura of battlefield conquest. Recently, Qi has been secretly investigating the route down the mountain. She thought she was doing it very covertly, but she didn't know that Binghua was seeing it, but Binghua had no intention of stopping her. Because the more he was prevented, the more Qi yearned for the outside world and the easier it was to become rebellious, although Qi had never rebelled against himself. But Binghua knows that Qi is a stubborn person at heart. Unless she gives up on something, it will be difficult for anyone to talk. Of course, Binghua was also confident that as long as he spoke to stop her from going down the mountain, Qi would stay on the mountain out of concern for her own feelings, but this was tantamount to suppressing Kai's thoughts and restricting her freedom. In order for the female angel to be free, how could Binghua, who had once resisted the rule of the male angel, make such a decision? But before Qi left, it was necessary to leave an insurance measure on Qi. Qi, please stop first and come inside with me. I haven't checked your body in the past few years. I just have time to do it for you now. Hearing this, Qi immediately stopped, threw away the metal spear in his hand, landed it accurately on the gun stand, trotted to keep up with Binghua's footsteps, and complained loudly. Sister Binghua, my health is very good. And I have never been sick, so there is no need for a checkup. Although Qi was complaining, he still followed Binghua into the research facility inside the mountain. Except for Binghua, the entire research facility contains those cold Tianjian series robots. Qi has been here several times. But it was still like the first time, teasing the passing Tianjian robots from time to time. Seeing how cute and confused they looked because their scheduled procedures were interrupted, Qi smiled happily. Seeing this, Binghua shook her head slightly and didn't say much. Qi didn't have any peers of her own age as her playmates in the mountains. When she was a child, she played with the Tianjian robot. This makes Qi feel extremely familiar with the Tianjian robots, and he often takes pleasure in teasing these robots who essentially have no intelligent personality. After arriving at the place, Qi obeyed Binghua's arrangements and lay down on a metal platform wearing only his underwear. Then Qi felt more and more sleepy and fell asleep unknowingly. Binghua looked at Kai's body with calm eyes. What she was going to do next was not allowed in Merlot heaven, which was to transform intelligent life forms and play with life wantonly. Opening the operation panel, the invisible stance energy rose from the metal platform where Qi was lying, fixing Kai's vital signs at this moment, because Binghua would then transform Qi into a warrior and strengthen it. The prototype of this technology is the Thunder Blade Star's Transformation Warrior technology, which relies on the power of technology to implant various enhanced auxiliary organs into the body, turning mortals into super soldiers who can compete with super warriors. However, the technology of the Thunder Blade Stars was too crude, and it also involved the transformation of part of the Chaos virus. This caused the Artast Research Institute, which the Thunder Blade Stars used to study and transform warriors, to be eroded by the Chaos virus. As a result, the number of reformed warriors on the front line was insufficient, and the frontal battlefield was defeated by Liang and the Islanders. In the end, the Artast Research Institute was destroyed, and the Thunder Blade civilization was almost disintegrated and divided. When Qi was picked up, Kai's body was much weaker than that of other children of the same age. Binghua did not have a ready-made angel gene suitable for Qi. If he wanted to make one, he would have to first create the device to create the super gene, synthesize it, encapsulate it, and adjust it. Come out. But these were large-scale devices. At that time, Binghua was still wandering in the wilderness with Qi. There was no such condition, so Binghua made simple genetic adjustments to Kai's young body and implanted the first artificial organ. The function of the deployment hub is to artificially enhance the digestion and absorption capacity of the organism, share part of the brain's functions, replenish energy for various damaged organs and tissues of the human body, and increase the body's self-repair ability. At the same time, certain intervention can be carried out on the development of organisms to make them grow in a reasonable and optimal direction. The external manifestation is that the self-healing ability and resistance to diseases are greatly enhanced. You can eat no matter how much you eat, and you will not gain weight, and your body will grow and develop in the most reasonable and beautiful direction. Later, when Qi grew up, Binghua successively strengthened Kai's body, such as increasing the bone density and endurance of the organs. Enhance the lifting strength of muscles, so that they have organs with far superior strength under the same body type. Increases its body coordination ability, allowing Qi to have faster reflexes and stronger nervous auxiliary organs to control the body than people of the same race. There are also more than a dozen artificial organs that increase learning ability, have the ability to quickly kill toxins and viruses, and increase their sensing capabilities. Of course, these artificial organs were made by Binghua himself, and were all miniature. Kai's body was still flesh and blood, and it did not affect any of its functions as a living thing, including the reproduction of offspring. The device that Binghua was going to implant into Qi today was a little bigger, almost the size of a fingernail, and its name was the Electronic Soul Storage Unit. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 608. The Electronic Soul Storage Unit, as its name suggests, is a thing used to hold electronic souls. Qi has lived with Binghua for nearly 20 years. Even if she has a pet, she still has feelings for her, let alone Qi, who calls her Sister Binghua all day long. That's why Binghua created this thing. Its technological prototype is the Cyber Empire's electronic soul technology. However, although Binghua's version is still called electronic soul, it is essentially a dark information act that is countless levels higher than electronic information. Main body. Rather than using dark information that is easily modified and deleted as the carrier of the electronic soul, Binghua prefers to use physical matter that is stronger and difficult to destroy as the carrier. Of course, this does not mean that pure dark information with information transmission capabilities cannot be used. But once this method is known to the enemy and a targeted dark information deletion weapon is produced, this electronic soul technology that can resurrect the dead will become worthless. According to Binghua's experience in developing weapons, a weapon that is easy to use is not necessarily the best. A weapon that is easy to use and can withstand various energy erosions and can be physically hit is considered a successful weapon. Therefore, this small electronic soul storage unit can guarantee that it will not be destroyed for a period of time, even in the high heat energy flow caused by the flame bombardment. And this kind of intensity can never be destroyed on this planet that is still in a pre-nuclear civilization. This is why Binghua will let Qi learn that knowledge. Since the child wants to do something that can be called great, then the elders can only silently support him from behind. When Qi woke up, he found that he had returned to the bed in his room from the cold metal table, and the quilt was thoughtfully covered on him. Needless to say, Qi knew that all this was done by his sister Binghua. Thinking of this, Qi couldn't help but smile on his face, but the smile soon disappeared. Because Qi thought of her plan, she couldn't help but feel a little guilty, because she actually wanted to leave her sister Binghua's side and go to the vast world under the mountain alone. But when he thought about the sight of kingdom residents who had the same skin color and spoke the same language as himself living in purgatory, Qi began to hesitate again on the choice of whether to go down the mountain or not. In the following time, Zhongqi remained as usual, but when he was alone, his face was often full of tangles, and Binghua noticed this. Whether to continue to enjoy this comfortable life and the company of relatives, or to leave it all behind and enter the world, Qi must make a choice. Finally, a year later, Qi left the mountain when a glacier entered the mountain for research, and left a letter. Sister Binghua, by the time you see this message I left, I should have already left the mountain. I really want to be by your side all the time, but my heart tells me that I can't just spend my life doing nothing. Sister Binghua, I know you are not an ordinary person. You are like a god in myths and legends. You saved me when I was about to die when I was young. This is my luck, but there are still thousands of people under the mountain who have not received God's salvation. Their lives disappear like dust in the wind, and no one is willing to lend a helping hand to them. Sister Binghua, I want to save my people just like you did, so that they can live in a happy world like me instead of in purgatory. The signature is that I don't want to leave you. After Binghua read the message left by Qi, she felt no sadness in her heart, only relief. May you be able to do what you want to do. Binghua sent blessings to Qi, who came down the mountain, and then the message turned into points of light and dissipated. Binghua turned around and left the house where she and Qi had spent more than 10 years together, and entered the research institute inside the mountain alone. As Binghua entered the institute, a thick metal door slowly lowered at the entrance of the passage. With a click, the institute was completely isolated from the outside passage. Then a burst of light changed, and the door fell and merged with the surrounding mountain walls. Binghua plans to continue researching the technology of transforming warriors that has achieved results. She is now very curious about how far genetic modification can strengthen organisms by relying solely on artificial organs. Time is not a precious thing for the near-immortal god. Occasionally, Binghua will study some things that he is curious about. After Qi on the other side came down the mountain, he relied on his superhuman physique and powerful force to defeat several waves of bandits who robbed him along the way. Kai's initial plan was very simple, which was to join the kingdom's army, rely on his own force to get ahead, and thus change the status quo of the kingdom. But things were not as simple as she thought. Soon Qi got into trouble because of her beauty. After killing the noble soldiers who came to capture her, she became a wanted criminal in the area. This made Qi extremely distressed, and he could only stay away from this area and continue his attempts in the spheres of influence of nobles in other kingdoms. But often the world is as black as crows. Qi suffered a lot because of his beauty and female status, causing all kinds of trouble wherever he went. You people are really annoying. I meet disgusting scum like you wherever I go. Qi was holding a spear with sharp edges on both sides of the pitch-black front section. His expression was unusually cold. He was wrapped in a brown and broken cloak that was fluttering in the wind. Several corpses with wide eyes had fallen around him. The remaining dozen or so soldiers in simple armor looked at Kai's appearance and were a little afraid of Kai's force and did not dare to step forward. However, they saw with their own eyes that this beautiful woman easily killed a companion with the metal spear in her hand. Block the waist and sweep it off. A few minutes later, Qi wiped his weapon with the soldier's clothes. Looking at the corpses lying around, Qi sighed. The grievances she had suffered in the past few months and the slander from others came to her heart. Qi squatted on the ground and sobbed lightly. She missed her sister Binghua a little. Qi felt that she had thought of everything too simply. The ambition she had before going down the mountain had been almost worn away at this moment. She even wanted to go back to the mountain now. Just then, a group of kingdom refugees in ragged clothes and swaying as if they might fall down at any time slowly walked from a distance. When they saw the corpse lying on the ground in front of them with intact clothes, they were first frightened and then turned into surprise. But when they noticed the figure of Qi squatting next to the corpse, they turned into panic again, because Qi was beside him at the moment, still holding his spear. This group of refugees, including men and women, consisting of about a dozen people, wandered nearby for a while, but Qi had no intention of leaving. Finally, a thin man among the refugees walked out of the team and walked towards Qi. "Excuse me, do you still want the things on this lady's body on the ground?" Qi had already sensed someone approaching, but she did not feel any hostility. She could hear and sense the awe and fear in the speaker's heart. "I don't need it. If you need it, just take it away." Hearing this, the thin man was overjoyed and quickly thanked Chibai, his tone so excited that he was a little incoherent. "Miss, thank you so much."